spirit controls. These are spirits that want to control people. Now, if you enter into mediumship, if you make yourself available for other entities, other spirits to use, once you enter into that, know that you are no longer yourself. Once a spirit control has gained ingress into your body, the victim loses the power to shut it out unless there is an external support. If he or she, that's the victim, is content to do what the intruding spirit wants, there is no trouble. There is no harassment. But in case the victim tries to protest, there will be a great agony for the victim. These entities can really be dangerous. Now, some of such intruding spirits, usually those who are least experienced, they are the most dangerous. Those spirits, the least experienced, they are the most dangerous. Because what they can do recklessly, they can push out your spirit and the higher vehicles. They can push them out of your body and take over the body and misuse it anyhow. I'm going to talk about the negative spiritual development. The pineal gland and the pituitary glands, they are two very important spiritual organs that we all have. But in most people, they are dormant. Long time ago, when we were descending within God of our solar system, those two organs were the means by which we were connected spiritually. The two organs are connected or were connected to the involuntary nervous system, not the voluntary. They were connected to the involuntary nervous system and invested us with spiritual gifts. We see things spiritually. We do things spiritually. And we have a diagram of it, the pineal gland and the pituitary gland. And we give credit to brainstuff.org. These two organs, as we said, were key when we were coming down in the word of God to this physical world. Now let's see how it develops. We could then perceive and function in the spiritual worlds when we're having these two organs connected to the involuntary nervous system. Some people still have those two organs in that position, still active in the involuntary system. Some people still have the two organs connected to the involuntary nervous system, and they are able to do things spiritually. But most people, most part of humanity have moved away from that. When I say that they have moved away, it does not mean that they are not operating with the voluntary system. No. But what I mean is that the pituitary gland and the pineal gland are no more active in those people. Majority of humanity, that is no more happening. Now, the involuntary spiritual development is along the negative path. When the person is still having the pineal gland and the pituitary gland connected to the involuntary nervous system, that is a development along the negative path. Why is it so? Such a person with that faculty makes no effort to submit the faculty under his or her own domination. It's automatic, so the person doesn't do anything about it. It comes just naturally. But that is not the way it's supposed to be. We are supposed to move away from that to the higher one. So, it might not even occur to such a negatively developed person to subject the faculty under his or her own domination. That is what ought to be done. So long as the negative faculty is exercised by means of the involuntary nervous system, it is never under the control of the will of the person. So the power, the faculty is erratic. It is on and off in nature. Such a negative developed person cares less about the higher desires. This is one of the characters. Such a negative developed person cares less about the higher desires, operates more in the lower desires. And such a person wants quick results. and is ready to use the power for personal gain. That is how it is. He or she has no control over what is seen in the spiritual world or the experiences in the spiritual worlds. He or she is aware only of what comes before him or her and cannot even use the power for any reliable investigative purposes. Now, this is the catchword. Such a person may also come out of the body, but not through the head, never, but through other parts of the body, especially the lower limbs. Such a person can be seen with the physical eyes, even in the night. Such a person can be seen. What are the dangers to negative spiritual development? Now, negative spiritual development, those who follow that path allow themselves to come under the control of earthbound spirits. So there are spirits who are interested in those who are developed negatively. Now, these earthbound spirits, they make themselves look like spiritual guides, that they are going to guide such a person. In many cases, such spirits are dishonest entities. They will coerce the victim to do things that are terrible eventually. What do we mean by earthbound spirits? We just want to explain this. These are persons who previously lived in the physical human bodies, but they remain bound to this earth planet after dying because of their strong desires for material things. So instead of following the path that is chosen after the spirit has dropped this physical body, because they were so materialistic, even after death, they are still stuck to the earth in pursuance of their materialistic desires. It's not only earthbound spirits that can coerce and deceive a negatively developed person. We also have elementals. They are spirits. They are everywhere. But they haven't reached the stage where they can take up material bodies like human beings. They are all over. They are interested in this physical body. So if we allow them, they can come and usurp our free will, pretending to be spirit guides. That is the danger of being a negatively developed person. The individual who allows himself or herself to be under the guidance of such elementals and earthbound spirits is under a certain circumstance, and is not a means by which these earthbound spirits and elementals can manifest themselves or manifest physical things. They will use that person as a medium. Mind you, there are many spirits all over, desirous to manifest physically as we are doing it. They also want to. And when they have access to anybody, it can truly be said that the victim's life is no longer his or her own. They will use the body extremely. Why are we saying so? Every human being has a responsibility over his or her body, which is the temple of the original spirit that came with it. Any external entity trying to take over the body is an intruder, a thief. That is why we should allow that. That intruder will seize this body, misuse it, and deprive the original owner, the original spirit of that body. And we just do it anyhow because it is not the original owner of the body. It is therefore dangerous to leave your body for elementals to manipulate or earthbound spirits to manipulate. It is simply dangerous. We'll be seeing it more. This manifests in mediumship, where a spirit materializes through somebody. The earthbound spirit or elemental enters through the medulla oblongata of the body. And because of the loose connection of the dense body and the vital body, will draw the ether of the victim through the spleen, and it will use it for its own materialization. Then we might think that the person has power, the person has a lot of power. But it is an elemental or earthbound spirit that is using that person to manifest. Spirit controls. These are spirits that want to control people. Now, if you enter into mediumship, if you make yourself available for other entities, other spirits to use, once you enter into that, know that you are no longer yourself. Once a spirit control has gained ingress into your body, the victim loses the power to shut it out unless there is an external support. If he or she, that's the victim, is content to do what the intruding spirit wants, there is no trouble. There is no harassment. But in case the victim tries to protest, there will be a great agony for the victim. These entities can really be dangerous. Now, some of such intruding spirits, usually those who are least experienced, they are the most dangerous. Those spirits, the least experienced, they are the most dangerous. Because what they can do recklessly, they can push out your spirit and the higher vehicles. They can push them out of your body and take over the body and misuse it anyhow. They take temporary control or they take permanent control of the body. And this may lead to mental problems. Obsession may lead to mental problems. So it is important we are always on guard so that we don't open up to too much excitement our medulla oblongata for such spirits to intrude. We need to watch out. There is even more danger after death for the negatively developed person, the one who allows herself to be influenced by external spirits. There is more danger after death. The spirit that subjected the victim during earth life to its manipulation, make sure that after death, the victim serves it. So the victim is not free after death. The spirit now holds him or her down to serve it. And you can see how wicked such spirits can be in the other world. So we need to be careful when we allow other spirits to influence us to do things. The victim, in addition to experiencing torture on this earth, will be deprived of his or material bodies and spiritual aspects when the person has finally left this physical body down. Because the person now goes with the desired body, the mind, and the rest. This will be seized by that intruding spirit. And that will make that person lag in the going back to God, the evolutionary timetable. That individual will lag. Let us take note. By now, it should be obvious that mediumship, coming into contact with other spirits to do things for us, and we think we are developed spiritually, is a negative practice. Anyone who does that is surrendering his free will to another entity. And that is not God's plan. The plan is we should use our free will, expand in our experience, our will, our conscience, and what have you. Not to submit that will to another entity. When such a person does so, he or she is hindering his own evolutionary progress. It is therefore extremely dangerous in terms of both life on earth and also life after passing to give your free will to another entity to manipulate. Yet, many of the people are claimed to have spiritual powers today. Many people who are claimed to have spiritual powers, and they are receiving attention from the public. They have their spiritual development as negative and involuntary in character. And sadly, many of them do not even know that their spiritual development is along the negative path. That is the worst aspect of it. That many of them do not even know that the powers that they claim that they have is not developed from within, but it is based on an external entity. And that is negative spiritual development. That is not God's plan. That is not a Christian way. What are the examples? Psychics. People who can use their mind and do many things. There are people who sensitize the vital body, the desired body, and the rest. They do so by sitting in certain postures and physical exercises. They only sensitize, but they are not spiritually developed positively. And then the administration of certain medicines, drinks, incense, food, powder, herbs, and the rest. these are all negatively developed practices. Black magic, sorcery, divination, witchcraft, juju, even using of Ouija boards or crystal gazing. These are all negative ways of spiritual development. It's not coming from within. But please take note. We do not judge or condemn any one of them. We on this platform do not condemn any one of them. In time, we will explain why we say we do not condemn any one of the old traditional practices. We consider them as old traditional practices to spiritual development. Any form of spiritual development that does not come from within the individual, regardless of the impression it makes on people, does not qualify as positive, voluntary spiritual development. That we are saying on this platform. Both self-mastery and self-reliance, together with attendant positive spiritual growth, are achieved only when we live noble and selfish lives, devoting our time to serving God and humanity, and keeping our thoughts and deeds pure and elevated. Those are the things we are talking about. That is how you develop from within your spiritual aspects. Only in this way can we strengthen the two higher ethers, develop our soul bodies, respond positively to the spiritual vibrations, and learn to avoid all external influence and dominance. Only when we feel within our innermost beings a holy, unselfish desire to help humanity can we begin to make progress in the direction of positive spiritual development. It is only that, to help humanity. That is how we develop positive spiritual development. Friends, we repeat that we do not condemn anybody or practice in spiritual development. Ours on this channel, Life Epistles, is to provide information about life so that you can make your choice where to go, to remain materialistic or choose the path that leads to positive spiritual development, or even the path that leads to destruction. There is also the option to remain with the multitude where there is slow movement towards spiritual development, or opt for faster movement by definite esoteric training, the Christian way, the true Christian way in preparation for the world to come, the new heaven and the new earth. And let us remember Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 and 14, where it is written, "Enter ye in at the straight gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it." The decision is yours. We hope you have learned something useful from episode 7. If you have any questions, you can write in the comment section. Let us meet again in our next lecture. And the topic is the hidden spiritual benefits of love and selfless service. We thank you very much. See you.